Thank you again for tuning in to today's webinar. This is for the FDOT State Kit for AutoCAD Civil 3D. Just real quick introduction for those new just tuning in. My name is Mike Racca. I work for the Florida Department of Transportation in the Engineering CAD Systems Office. My role here is to help develop, implement, and support the FDOT State Kit for AutoCAD Civil 3D. Today's session is based off the Civil 3D sheet sets for FDOT plans production. So we've got a few slides here to go through. Briefly, this session is going to focus on the Civil 3D sheet sets that are included in the installation of the state kit for FDOT plan production. What we're going to do today is we're going to explain and demonstrate how to create a specific FDOT sheet set, or otherwise known as a DST file. Just a couple of prerequisites for this webinar. It's a good idea to have the current or latest version of FDOT Civil 3D State Kit installed. Right now we're on 2015. We'll be on 2016 shortly. And user prerequisites, it's a good idea to have a good understanding of basic AutoCAD. Not so much Civil 3D in this case. The tools that we're going to go over you can use in the basic FDOT AutoCAD State Kit and the Civil 3D FDOT State Kit as well. Okay, I just want to point that out. So our session objectives today is we're going to talk about what is the sheet set manager and what are sheet sets, how do we use them. And then once we talk about those two items, we're going to go into talking about how FDOT Civil 3D actually utilizes the state kit and the sheet set manager together. What we'll do is we'll create a FDOT Civil 3D project. We'll kind of go through that briefly because we actually have a webinar already done on the Civil 3D project. We'll create a new sheet set file from an existing template that's in your project directory once the project is created. And then we'll look at how to import existing drawings that have layout sheets and how to create new sheets as well, how to bring them into the sheet set manager. And then we'll look at a few options that the sheet set manager has, like how to organize your sheets, how to do batch plotting using some page setup tools, like sending all your drawings to a PDF or a plotter or what have you. And then we'll look at creating and archiving a transmittal set of drawings, or perhaps in some kind of zip file or something. Then towards the end, we'll go back and look at how to edit the data in the sheet set files themselves, and we'll have a couple of exercises that we'll go through. So just briefly, let's talk about what is the sheet set manager. The sheet set manager is actually a tool inside of Civil 3D. It's on a toolbar that allows you to take drawings. If you kind of look here at the screenshot, you'll see that we have a file here and we have multiple drawings. Each one of those drawings has what's known as layout tabs in them. For those of you who may not be familiar with what a layout tab is, the layout tab is something that you use for printing and plotting. The layout tab usually has like your title block on top of it. Every drawing has a model tab and then a layout 1 tab and a layout 2 tab. When you take those tabs and you drag them into Sheet Set Manager does no longer see them as layout tabs. It actually sees them or recognizes them as a sheet and a sheet set. So that's kind of what you're looking at here. You're looking at the Sheet Set Manager. In the middle on the right-hand side is just a screenshot of the layout tabs, drug into the Sheet Set Manager, and then organized in some form or fashion. Okay, so that's the Sheet Set Manager. Outside of AutoCAD Civil 3D AutoCAD, you have an external file type known as a sheet set or a .dst file. This .dst file contains the properties of a sheet set. So it may contain information like the project number, or the location of the project, or the designer or the engineer, things of that nature. That's properties that's going to be contained inside the DST file that's going to get read or pushed out to your sheets when you import your sheets in. Sheet sets also help us to keep track of files that are associated with a project. So instead of having to go to File, Open, and browse through these different sheets, once you see the sheets in your Sheet Set Manager, you can double-click on them to instantly open that drawing, go right to it. You can also use it for a number of other things like numbering them or renumbering them or renaming them, plot publishing them, eTransmitting, and zipping them up as well. Okay. So how does the FDOT Civil 3D State Kit utilize sheet sets? Well, there is an external program that is installed with the Civil 3D State Kit known as the Create Project application. And we'll look at this briefly in just a second, but basically what you do is you launch this project, Create Project application. You go through and you put in information like the project number, where the project's going to be located at, contract number, information like that. Once you put in that information, it's going to create your project with your subfolders in it, and it's going to create your DST files that's going to hold this information in that you entered in during the Create Project process. Okay. So here we can see on the bottom just a few things here. We have our project here on the left-hand side, our project number. We have all these subfolders in there, but in there's a folder called Data. And in that data folder, we have all of our DST files. Okay, these DST files are basically templates for you to use to create your own DST file off of. Okay, so once you create your own DST file, you have all these subcategories that you then begin to import your sheets into. Again, this is just kind of just a quick screenshot here showing that if you hover your cursor over one of the drawing names, it shows you the data that's stored in that DST file, like I was talking about earlier, like the county, you know, who drew this, who checked the drawing, has the e-signature on it, and down the bottom it has like, you know, information like the address, location, and license number, things like that. So, okay, so with that being said, let me go ahead and close this PowerPoint down. And what we want to do first is we want to create a project. We're going to start everything completely from scratch. We're going to create a brand new project, and I'm going to show you how these DST files are created, and we're going to start importing drawings into them so you can see how this information gets put into your title blocks. Okay, so to get to the Create Project application, there's a folder on your desktop. You can double click on it. You get this when you install the FDOT Civil 3D State Kit, and in here you have the option to create a project. So I'm just going to double click on that. Again, for this application to work, I don't know if I've mentioned this already, but for this application to work, you do have to have Civil 3D closed. Okay, it will not launch if you don't have Civil 3D closed, because it actually needs it to relaunch it to create the project. But just real quick, up on top here you have project type, and you have two different projects to select from. FDOT AutoCAD Civil 3D project is selected by default. And then you have the option to select a directory where you want your project to be created at. And by default, it's going to put it in Civil 3D projects. If you want to put it in a different location, you can just click on the little dice button on the right. Then you're going to put in your project ID information. I'm just going to type in some numbers here. We're not going to get too specific on this. I'll do some contract numbers. Just take note that when you type in numbers or information, when they're black, you actually need additional numbers. When they turn green, then you've satisfied the amount of characters that that field needs. So just be mindful of that. And then I'll put in a description. I'll just put in Civil 3D demonstration, Civil 3D demo. And then we'll click Finish. You get this dialog box that comes up. Basically, this is just verifying the information you typed in. Does that look okay? Click OK. And then you get this other dialog box that comes up that has a series of tabs that you can walk through. Okay, you can either click them up on top to go through each one, or you can click Next. Just keep in mind here that what it did is it carried that information over into this dialog box. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next here. Maybe I'll put in a little bit of information here just so we can see this information get carried over into our title blocks. So I'll just put section 1, 2, we'll begin at milepost 100 and at 110. We'll say this is works being done on State Road 7. Click Next. Let's go ahead and go to Management. I'm just going to put my name in here real quick. and then I'll put my name down here. All right, and we'll click Finish. This is letting you know that you're creating an XML, which is successfully created. Click OK. Here's where it's going to tell you that it's going to update project corresponding sheet sets. So it's about to create those sheet sets, and it's going to update them with the information that I just typed in during this create project process. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And this is where I was telling you where you have to have Civil 3D closed, because what it's actually going to do is it's going to launch Civil 3D, it's going to build that project directory for me, and it's going to create those DST files, and then it's going to close Civil 3D back down. So here, just give it just a moment. Okay, it tells me my sheet sets have been successfully updated, so I'm going to click OK to this. And this is a report viewer. I can just close out of that. Just another dialog box for verification. I'll click OK. So now, if I use my Windows Explorer and browse down to that Civil 3D project, you can see here that I just created a new project. Double click on it. And here's our subfolders, and here's that data folder that I was talking about earlier that contains your template DST files. These are the files that you're going to use as a basis to create your own DST files in your project. Okay? So let me go ahead and minimize this, and let's go into Civil 3D, and we're going to look at how to create our own DST files using one of those files as our template. So what I did is I double-clicked on the FDOT State Kit icon on my desktop. That launches Civil 3D here. And once it comes up, I know that I'm in the State Kit because I get this little splash screen here. And also up on top, for my ribbons, I'll have an FDOT ribbon tab right here. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is launch our sheet set manager. Okay, there's a few different ways you can get the sheet set manager. You can go to the application pool down here, and you can choose open, and you can choose sheet set from here. You can also type in SSM at the command line, but I think the most popular way to get to the sheet set manager is actually go to the home ribbon, and under the palettes panel, click a little down arrow, and you have a little icon, looks like a rolled up set of plans. That's actually your sheet set manager. When you click on that, it launches your palette. Okay, and this palette's a little bit user customizable. You can left click on this title bar here and drag it around where you like it. You can right click on it and you can tell it whether you want to anchor to the left. This is the sheet set manager. You have a few tabs on the right here for your sheet list, sheet views, and model views. We're going to focus on the sheet list tab. What I'm going to do is go to the pull down menu, and this is where you load your sheet set files or your DST files into the sheet set manager. So what I want to do is I want to choose this new sheet set option. Remember, we're going to take one of our templates and create a new one off of it. So you get this little wizard that comes up, and the first question asks us is, do we want to create a sheet using an example sheet set or existing drawings? We're actually going to do both of these, but the first one we're going to use is an example sheet set, but I'll come back later and demonstrate the other option as well. So we'll click Next. This is asking you to select the template sheet set file. So I'm going to click on this little dice button here, and I'm going to browse to the project that I just created. And remember, browse down to the data folder, and we're going to choose this FDOT master sheet set template DST file. And click Open. Okay, so that's our template, so let's go ahead and click Next. And here it's asking us, what is the name of the new sheet set file that we are about to create? I'm going to call this plan set. Description is optional. We actually have a description in there for you. And then here's where it asks you, where do you want to place the new DST file that you're about to create? I'm going to browse down to my project once more. And since this is a roadway plan set, I'm going to go to the roadway folder, and I'm going to place in that engineering data folder. Okay, and click Open. Now, I'm going to stop here at this step here. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the sheet set properties real quick. The sheet set properties is the information that is stored in that DST file. If you look down here, you've got sheet set information, project control information, then you have sheet custom properties. Okay, this is the information that we typed in during that create project process. So while I'm here, I can put in information like if you look at some of these fields that are in brackets, these are actually information that gets pushed out to our title blocks. So let me just change one of these. How about state? I'm going to put in Tallahassee. So when we go to we build our title blocks, you'll see that that information coming here. But don't worry, if you don't put in all the information here like you need to, you can always return to this sheet sets property dialog box at any time and edit or add to this box here. Okay. So I just want to show you how you can get to it during the create sheet set wizard. So we'll go ahead and click OK, and then click next. This is just confirming all the information that you entered in. This is your plan set DST file, and here are the subsets that are going to get created in that sheet set file as well. And the rest of this information is just telling you where it's going to be created at. So let's go ahead and click Finish. And here is my sheet set file loaded into my sheet set manager. Let me just kind of expand this a little bit so you can see everything. So next, let's take a look at how to create a brand new drawing and add it to our sheet sets. So I'm going to go over to the FDOT ribbon, and I'm going to use this Create File application. This lets me create brand new drawings and put them in the correct folder. So the first thing you want to do up on top is just make sure we have the right project selected. So I'm going to choose this Select Project option. I'm going to browse down to my project. I'm going to select the project number itself and click OK. My roadway is discipline, my file group. I'm going to choose roadway design files, and let's just go ahead and create a key sheet. Okay. When I select key sheet, down here on the bottom, this is telling me the file that's going to get created. It's going to put it in our roadway output file. All the information looks good, so I'm going to go ahead and say create and open file. So it's going to create it in the background. It's going to open it up, and then when it's done, I can click close. Okay. So now we have our key sheet created. Down on the bottom here, like I was talking about earlier, we have a set of layout tabs. Okay, and each one of these layout tabs you're going to use for printing your drawing. So let's say, for example, I want to bring in this first layout tab, this non-federally funded no map key sheet layout. I want to bring it into my sheet set manager. So it's pretty simple. You just right-click on the tab, and down here on the bottom, you have the option to import the layout as a sheet. Okay, that's exactly what we want to do. So I'm going to select that option. In this dialog box that comes up, what it's actually doing is going to let me pick other layouts that I want to import as well, or I can browse for other drawings and import multiple layouts from those drawings as well. So this is kind of like a one-stop shop for importing layouts as sheets. But right now we're just going to keep it simple. We're going to select the one layout name. So I'm going to choose Import Checked. And you can see here that it put it down in the bottom. It didn't put it under my subsets. I actually want this in my roadway plans. So before I do that, let's take a look at our key sheet here. And you'll notice that there's some data fields here that are in gray. Okay, these data fields are just going to read the DST file information. Okay, so to get to read that information, I'm going to left-click on this layout tab. I'm sorry, this key sheet, and I'm going to drag it up here into my roadway plans. Okay. Once you do that, the next step you want to do is you want to type in RE for region and press enter, and you'll notice that that information gets filled out. It's reading that information in that DST file. Okay, and that's what we want it to do. You'll notice next down on the bottom there are actually a few fields that didn't get filled out, like the sheet number. So let's see how we would fill out our sheet number. Well, that's pretty easy. If we come over here to our sheet, we can right-click on it and rename and renumber. So in this dialog box, it's asking me what is the number for this sheet. I'm just going to type in 1. And then what is the sheet title? Maybe I want to give this something that I can easily identify with. So I'll call this KeySheet. And I'll even call the layout name KeySheet. Okay. When I click OK, notice down here on the bottom it renamed the layout to KeySheet. And if I type in region, or RE, which is short for region, and press enter, it put that sheet number in there. Also notice here in my sheet set manager, it actually renamed it in here as well. That's now sheet number 1, and that is a KeySheet name. So let's take a look, and now that we saw how to create a brand new drawing from scratch and add it to our sheet set, let's take a look at how we would take existing drawings and add it to our KeySheet, or I'm sorry, our sheet set manager. So let me go into Windows Explorer here, and I'm going to go to my directory here where I have some sheets. Actually, I have a few sheets here to import. So I'm going to right-click on these and copy them. I'm going to put it in this new project that I created. And I'm going to go down to my roadway folder. And I'm going to paste them in there. So all I did is I put in an alignment drawing, clip drawing, a design drawing. I've got multiple plan drawings and this cross-section drawing. The plan drawings and the cross-section drawing, these have a lot of layout tabs in them that we're going to import into our sheet set manager. Okay? So I'm going to minimize that. Now, the first time I imported that sheet, it brought in my KeySheet outside of my subset. This time I want to import sheets inside of my roadway plan subset. So to do that this time, I'm going to right-click on that roadway plan subset name and choose Import Layouts as Sheet. So here's kind of that dialog box again that we were looking at earlier. And this time we're going to use for the Browse for Drawings option. Okay? And I'm going to go over to my project directory once more. And I'm going to go down here to Roadway. And I'm going to choose my plan drawings, and I'm going to choose my cross-section drawings. And select Open. Always take a look at this list before you click Import Checked, because some of these you do not need. For example, we know that every drawing that you create in Civil 3D or AutoCAD always has a Layout 1 drawing name. We actually don't want that one. But the rest of these look pretty good. They're all my cross-section drawings. These are my roadway plan drawings. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Import Checked. Okay, and it places them under my roadway plan subset because I right-clicked on my subset to import those in here. So now we can just do a little bit of house cleaning here. We actually want to put some numbers at the end of these, and maybe want to clean up the naming convention a little bit here. So let's do a few of these. I'm going to right-click on this cross-section drawing. Again, and we'll say Rename and Renumber. And I'm going to call this one, name this one 2, and I'm going to take out this this name here for my sheet title, and then just click Next. When you click Next, you'll see it jump to the next one and give it a new name. So let's just do a few of these here. Click Next. Four. And then click Next. Okay. So I think you get the idea on how you would use Sheet Set Manager to rename and renumber these and clean up your plan set a little bit. So I'm going to click OK to that for now. And let's say, for example, we want to open up one of these drawings. Well, instead of having to go to the File, pull down menu, and browse to a drawing and try to remember where that drawing is located, what folder it is, now we can use Sheet Set Manager just to simply double-click on a file, and it'll bring us straight to that drawing. Okay. Notice down here on the bottom, just like the other title block we looked at, it renamed it down here on the bottom, and it gave it the correct sheet number. Now we didn't have to type in region this time because we didn't have the drawing open. So when we first opened it, it kind of automatically did a region for us. Okay. So once we get these sheets in here and we start to build our plan set, there's some options that we can use. When we right-click on this subset, we can go down here at the bottom. We can use this Publish option. So you can use the Sheet Set Manager to kind of do a batch plot of anything that's in your Sheet Set Manager or in a subset. For example, we can send this entire set to publish to a PDF, or we can publish it to a plotter. One dialog box that's kind of my favorite, it's kind of a one-stop shop for everything. This is Publish Dialog Box down on the bottom. When you pick that, you get several options that you can kind of get an overall outlook at in this dialog box. For example, we can say we want to publish all these drawings to a DWF or a PDF. We can take these files and we can maybe reorganize them or put them in a different order. You kind of see how I can click the up and down arrow. We can even choose this option to add additional sheets. So I could browse to another drawing that may not be in my sheet set manager and add it to this publish dialog box. Okay, I'm not going to do that at the moment. I'm just going to click cancel. We can also hold down the shift key and select the first drawing, select the last drawing, right click, and we can choose copy selected sheets. Okay, so maybe the copy selected sheets that are added to this list we perhaps can send to a printer, and then the first set of sheets we can maybe create a PDF from. Okay, so you can do a few things with that. If you want to take sheets out of this list, you can click remove sheets and it takes them out. So if I select this first key sheet, hold down the shift key, select the last one, I can tell Civil 3D to print all these at 11:17 PDF. Okay, I can include a plot stamp, or I can publish in background. So I just want to point out some options you can do with the publish dialog box. So let me go ahead and click cancel. What this is saying is, do you want to save the current list of sheets? So after you've built this list, you can save it as an external file that later you can load in up here under the sheet list category, and it'll bring in all your same settings. So that's what this dialog box is for. I'm going to go ahead and click no to this. And let's go ahead and right click on roadway plan set. Let's take a look at this eTransmit option. I might have to save my drawing first before I can perform this. Let's see what Civil 3D tells us, because I think I made some changes. But what the eTransmittal does is it goes through, I need to save my file. So let me go ahead and click OK. Let me close out of my cross-section drawing here. And let me save my KeySheet file. Okay, so let me right-click on it one time and eTransmit. So what it's doing is it's saying AutoCAD is gathering information about the files. So what it's doing is it's looking at all the files here in my plan set. It's finding all the drawings that are related to this plan set. It's finding all the external reference files that are being referenced in some of these drawings. It's finding all the images. It's finding all the data shortcuts, and it's giving me an option to package them all up into one perhaps executable file folder or a zip file to maybe send to somebody, or to maybe to store on my network drive or what have you. But anyways, to create a transmittal, you've got these sheets here, the sheet tabs, which kind of shows you all the sheets that that Civil 3D is packaging up for you. You've got this file tree that lets you pick and choose what you want to include into this eTransmittal. My favorite here is this Civil 3D dependencies. So what this does is it actually went through and it found your source files, maybe your files that's got your alignment data in it or your surface data in it, things like that. It actually found those files for you for this this transmittal. Then you have this file table. Basically, it's kind of the same thing. It just allows you to go through and pick and choose what information you want in this transmittal. Down here on the bottom, again, you can add additional information or additional files. They don't have to be drawings. You can actually add Word documents, Excel files, things of that nature to this transmittal. On the right here, you have this option for a transmittal setup. If I click that and click New, and I'll just call this up, what it does, it takes this standard setup and creates a new one. Maybe I'll call this ACAD 2012. Because maybe what I want to do is take all these drawings and save it back to a different format. Maybe I have somebody that doesn't have Civil 3D. They just have an older version of AutoCAD that needs these files to open and look at them. So what I can do here is under this modified transmittal setup for file format, I can click on this down arrow and I can tell Civil 3D to save these files back to a different version. So I'd probably choose like maybe AutoCAD 2010 format, where it explodes the Civil 3D object so a regular AutoCAD user can view these files. Okay. So I just want to point that out to let you know that that option is available. We'll go ahead and click cancel this and close, and we'll go ahead and cancel out of this box here. So that's a few things you can do with Sheet Set Manager as far as packaging them up, batch plotting them, renaming them, renumbering them, and reorganizing them. Next, what I'd like to do is take a look at how to edit these data fields. So we saw how you can do it on a per drawing basis. If I right-click on roadway plans, I can choose properties from here. Oh, I'm sorry, plan set, and choose properties. I believe that's what we want. And I just want to point out that during the sheet set creation process, we were able to edit sheet set properties. Well, this is another way to go through and edit those sheet set properties that are contained in that DST file. So you notice a lot of this looks familiar. There's our project ID information, there's our address, city, state. I think I might have got these backwards. I think that should be Tallahassee, and the state should be Florida, and we can put in a zip code in there. So these fields are editable. Once you put the information that you want, you can click OK. And then if you have a title block that's using that information, again, to have it update in your sheets, you just type in regen. So if you don't see anything happen, always remember that, that regen command. Okay? So let's start with how to create a blank DST file with nothing in it, and how to add our own custom data fields, okay, instead of using these predefined data fields. So I want to close out of this sheet set file, so I'm going to go to this pull down menu here. Actually, I can just right click on it. There's a bunch of different ways on how you can manipulate this. I'm going to right click on that and choose close sheet set. I'm going to click on the down arrow, and this time we're going to create another new sheet set, but we're going to use an existing drawing. Okay, this is a drawing that maybe just has a title block in it, but it doesn't have any data fields or anything defined in it. So that's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to choose existing drawings and click next, and ask me to give this new sheet set a name. I'm just going to call this webinar demo. It says, okay, well, when I'm going to create that sheet file, where are we going to store it at? So let's click on the dice button here, and I'm going to browse over to my webinar folder. And we're just going to put in this data folder here. And I'm going to click open. And now let's take a look at this sheet set properties dialog box again. This time when we click on it, we'll notice that there's no custom properties down here like we had before. So let's go ahead and add some custom properties. So I'm going to choose Edit Custom Properties. This dialog comes up that allows me to add new ones. So let's create a few here. How about we create one that's called City. I'm going to leave the default value. Actually, we can change this to City as well. Let's call this City. I'll click OK, and let's create a couple more. So I'll call this City, State. We won't do too many, we'll just do a couple. And click OK. So now you see that we've got two custom properties that we added in here. There's the name, and there's the default value. And this is being applied to a sheet set. So click OK, and now you'll see your sheet set custom properties added to your DST file. So I'll click OK to this. We'll click Next. And now it says, okay, let's go ahead and import a drawing and associate it to this DST file while we're at it. So I'll click Browse, and I'm going to go to my, once again, my webinar folder here, data, and then I have a drawing in here for called title block. So actually you just click the folder and it looks for the drawings that are in that folder. Okay, so Civil 3D found one drawing, and it found a drawing that's got a layout tab. Okay, so that's what we want. So let's go ahead and click next. Again, another dollar box is confirming the information, so we'll click finish. Okay, so here's a new sheet set file called webinar demo, and I want to open up this drawing. So I just simply double click on it. I don't have to do file open or browse to get to that information. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom down here to the bottom, and what I have down here is just regular M text. Okay, I don't have any data field text yet like you see here with the gray background. So let's add in a data field. So it's real simple to do. You just double click on the text, and let's say I want this city and state to reflect what I typed in this DST file. So if I just highlight it, okay, I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to choose Insert Field. Okay, the Insert Field dialog box, you can filter all this information out by category. So we're going to look at the sheet set, and then we want to choose the current sheet set custom. Okay, because that's what we're looking at. We're looking at the current sheet set, and we want to look at the custom property that we added to it. Okay, when I select that, over here on the right, it shows that, okay, we typed in a custom property for city and a custom property for state. Well, I want to use that city option. And then we have some ways that we can format it, whether we want uppercase, lowercase, first capital, or the whole title case. Let's do uppercase, and I'm going to click OK. So now if I click out of this, we have a data field, and we know that because it has this gray background. So let's do this other one for state. So same thing, I'm going to click state. I'm going to highlight it, right click, insert field, click on the bottom here, I'm going to choose the state option, and click OK. Okay, so now we want to fill this information out. So just like we did before, we'd come up here to our sheet set DST file, we'd right click on it, we'd choose properties. Okay, here's that city and state. So let me go ahead and edit this information. So I'll type in Tallahassee, and for the state, I'll type in Florida. Click OK. All right, we didn't see the information change. What do we need to do? We need to regen it, right? And you can see how that changes. Okay, that's how data fields work in conjunction with Sheet Set Manager. You can use data fields for a couple of other things. Let's say, for example, we have this block here, this with a scale annotation on it. And what I want to do is every time I go to change this viewport, okay, the scale of this viewport, I want the text to update with it in my north arrow block. So it's pretty simple. Again, you just double click on the text, and here you can type in a value. What I want to do is I want to right click, just how we did mtext. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to choose this insert field option. Okay, in the insert field, for field category, there's all kinds of different categories. We're just going to link that field category to an object. Okay, for the field names, I can choose object from here, and just kind of work your way to the right. What type of object do we want to link it to? Well, we don't know the name, but what we can do here is we can select the object in our drawing. Okay, so I'm going to choose a select object. I'm going to bring my cursor over here to this border, and I've got selection cycling turned on because I have two objects laying on top of each other. But if I left click on that, I want to choose this viewport option. Okay, well, what property of that viewport do I want to tie into? Well, I'm going to go down here and I want to tie into what the scale of that viewport would be. Okay, so we choose standard scale, and then here it gives you a preview of what it may look like. So right now my scale is set to 1 inch equals 40, so that's what the text is going to be. Again, you have some format options. I kind of like to choose uppercase for most things. I'll click OK to that. So you can see there's our field. I'll click OK, and there we have 1 inch equals 40. If I choose that viewport and I come down here and I change the scale to something else, Sorry, I had it locked. You have to actually unlock the viewport, and then we can choose a different scale. So when I choose a different scale, I type in region. You can see that that text is intelligent. It now changes. This concludes the webinar for today.